I'm pretty tough on the court. I'm pretty strict on the court. I have a whole lot of passion. So when I find those areas where I can be passionately encouraging, passionately building up, I try to do that as well.
Welcome to the Jamodi Podcast, where we interview coaches and leaders to find out not just what they do, but how they do what they do. Becoming the best version of ourselves is Jamodi, just a matter of doing it.
Today we are joined by former head men's basketball coach of American Heritage Academy, Herb Evans. Coach Herb has over 24 years of coaching experience, including 13 as head coach. For 11 years, he was a head coach at AHA and won the Coach of the Year in 2007. The past 11 years, Coach Herb has been the 8th grade coach at Grapevine Faith Christian School, leading his teams to 7 district championships. Grapevine Faith would not be the same without Coach Herb. Before we hear from Coach, take a moment to subscribe to our podcast and follow us on social media at Jamodi Podcast.
First of all, I just want to thank you for giving up your Wednesday night to come on here and talk hoops with me. It's just it's something special for me to get to do this with you because of our relationship and getting to know you at Faith for the last 9 years, man. Can you believe that?
Time. When I looked on that board today and saw Postum a shooting, and that took me way back. I went a long way back. Yeah, so it's been a while.
Well, Coach, you're one of those guys that everybody knows. I don't think I can't go any place, any coaching clinic or anywhere, and when I talk about being at Faith and somehow your name comes up, everybody knows you around here. But just in case, for guys that don't, a little bit about your coaching background and history.
Okay, well, I started coaching a while ago as just a youth coach, coaching my boys and my kids, and then got an opportunity to coach at American Heritage Academy in Carrollton back in 99, 2000 year. And I was the athletic director over at American Heritage and the assistant varsity basketball coach. And I coached 1 year with under Chris Nason. We went on, my son was one of the players on the team. We went on to win the state championship against Harvest Christian. It was a great game. Anyway, the following year, he moved to another school, and I was then promoted to varsity head coach and was there 11 years prior to it closing. And then I've been now. I immediately came over to coach at Faith. As soon as I got there, the head coach then decided to retire or leave. I was then promoted to the head coach, done that for 2 years, and now have been the 8th grade coach, the best 11 years of my life in the 8th grade basketball for 11 years of Faith, total of 13 years of Faith now.
Love that. And I know if there are any Faith people that watch this episode, I'm sure there will be. Everybody here knows how important you are to this school. Faith would not be the same without you at it every day. So I hope you know that, man.
Well, I appreciate that. I've heard that a time or two, and I appreciate that because I actually love what I'm doing, and I could not see myself at any other school. If and when I retire, it'll be from here.
11 years at AHA as the head coach. Is that correct?
Head coach, yes.
Head coach, yep. And so what was one thing that you felt like made your teams at AHA different?
Well, one of the coaches from that you might know was at the Fort Worth Calvary School. Me and him became great friends. And one of the things that he shared with me was that he felt that I always got my players to give so much more than they had within them. Meaning they would come out and play hard for me. He didn't say anything about the X's and O's and all that, and I'm not worried about that. But he felt like I could dig down in a player and make them a harder worker, tougher, stronger, smarter player. And that's what I want to do. I always want to be able to get so there are coaches that will out X and O me. They will out X and O me. but I will get kids to do the basics, the common sense, the fundamentals of the game, without specifically going through the dribble through the different things. So that's where I feel that I capture the heart. I try to capture the hearts of the players.
And I do know that you do a good job of that, because I've been able to see it for 9 years here. And part of the idea behind the podcast is not just what, but the how, because there's so many great things. And what you said, you wanted your teams to be known for playing hard, and you got them to bring out more than yourself. I think as coaches, that's something that we all aspire to, but it's hard. And so if you could, I'm going to dig in a little bit deeper.
Yep.
Playing hard was what you wanted them to do. How did you get them there?
So I do a lot of games, but games where they're playing against each other. We're not doing individual stuff where they're playing against each other. And I'm demanding that they box out. I'm demanding that they rebound. I'm demanding that they go hard. I'm emphasizing taking a charge. And I want to teach those from the basics, so they have a foundation of how to take a charge. Getting the feet set, get there early, get set, take it, don't squinch, don't move, don't turn to the side, do all those kinds of things. And then I award them when they do those things. So I have 7 awards that I've given out. Even when I was at AHA, I've given out these same 7 awards after every game. Offensive rebounder, defensive rebounder, assists, steals, an overall chart point MVP.
You do charges too?
Excuse me.
Charges
and
also.
Charges, yeah. Yep. A MasterCard the charge award. And then the 7th one is the Barnabas Award, which is for it as an encourager. So I'm the one of the 7. I'm the one that selects the Barnabas Award every game. And that's the one who is encouraging, have the most spirit. And I'm watching all through the game and making a mental note, and I let them know that. And then I reward them. Sometimes it's individuals. Sometimes it's more than one. Sometimes it's the bench as a whole.
Yeah.
And so, so those are ways that I draw out the things that I want to see the most.
And you've done a great job over the years of reminding me of that as coaches, we get what we emphasize.
Yeah.
So like whatever we're emphasizing often. So like with our high school group, man, we emphasize shooting. We do it every day. We let it fly. We're talking about footwork, technique, all these things. So it's not surprising that in games, that's what guys are focused on as well. What I have to do a better job of, and what you've reminded me over the years, is to continue to emphasize the other facets of the game that also lead to winning. And so you've done a great job. I love the 7 awards. I don't think, and you're an awesome example of, it doesn't matter where you coach or what level you coach, that you can bring a level of excellence to it. And like you said, those 7 awards that you were doing as a head coach at AHA, man, I know that your 8th graders, like the 8th graders that go on after playing for you, they'll remember those awards. They'll remember the times they got it. I think that's special, man.
Josh Carroll just the other day talked about how many times he won the glove of the steals. I mean, he loved that, and he anticipated and do different things. So I had a kid that graduated. He's maybe close to 30 now, 28, 29. We used to, at the end of the year, give the award to the one who won it the most for this season. And so he messaged me on Messenger a picture that he still had the glove from junior high. No, he was high school. He was varsity at American Heritage. Still had the glove, actual glove. So it means something. It's a little something that might not mean a lot, but it means a lot to them, especially when you celebrate them, make make everyone clap and enjoy it and celebrate it when they win it. And it moves around. You can win more than one. You can, and it changes from game to game.
Yeah, 6 of them are statistical, so you really have to perform well on the floor to get them. But that 7th one, that's that piece of the puzzle that where the intangibles are bringing something extra, bringing your very, very best, especially when it's just in spirit on the bench. I think recognizing that one's huge, and what you do and what we try to do here, and I bet a lot of coaches do, is like we can't forget to make it special. Like to make it special for them, and the time that it takes. I mean, I would imagine it takes you 5 to 8, maybe 10 minutes to go through it. Is even though like some of us, our coaches thinking, God, that's just practice time that I can't give up. I'll give yourself some wiggle room to do those special things that 12 years down the road they'll maybe remember.
Absolutely, and that's what I think. That's the way I think about it. I just want to make. I want to make and some people might think that it's and I've heard it said that it's everybody gets something, and you want to give everybody a certificate. Everybody, well, these are earned. These are earned, and then they have to meet minimums to even get them. I don't give them. You have to have 3 or more. You can't have one.
Maybe one offensive rebound doesn't get an award.
No.
It just fell to him. Yeah.
You have minimum. However, the only one that if you get one, you can win it is a charge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Taking a charge. Yeah.
And I love what you said though about spending a lot of time scrimmaging in practice. So I do believe in individual skill work, but especially at the junior high where your season is so condensed. Like I have majority of my guys from August. So we have so much time that we can spend to individual skill work. You really have, you get them from football, you have 4 or 5 days to put things in before you play. And so you gotta, I don't envy that at all. And you gotta really prioritize your time. So many times when I listen to coaches talk about what they would do differently if they could go back, one of the major things they say is spend more time scrimmaging in practice, less time drilling. And this isn't to make you feel bad, but you said something to me that hurt my feelings years ago. Years ago, man, it was probably my 2nd, maybe 3rd year here. And I had this practice plan that was about 4 pages long, breakdown drills. Every part of what they could look like and do as a player, I had a drill for it. And I was so proud of it. And I handed it to you and I said, Coach, check this out, man. What do you think of this? And I think you said something like, man, it doesn't really look like a varsity practice schedule or practice plan, meaning that was so broken down that like, when are they going to play? Like they should and also I think they should know this stuff already. Like we're probably in bad shape if they don't know how to do these things already. Yeah, varsity team. But and it's funny. Just like with players, they'll remember every little comment that we make and things. I did think about that and I re-looked at it. And over the years, I've moved way more towards what you do really well. If you go to a Coach Herb's 8th grade practice, most likely you'll see a controlled scrimmage environment where he's giving the ball to a team they play, and then he'll give some coaching and feedback. They'll switch, but it's tons of reps. And I think there's a lot of genius to that.
I didn't mean it. Hopefully.
Coach, I've recovered. I'm okay now.
Hey, listen, the time that you've been here, my goal has been just don't change his program. Go with your program, but at the same time, share some wisdom. If you have a little wisdom, share it. And you've been, and I got to give it to you, you have been one that has been a very receptive and open to someone giving you wisdom without, I don't want to feel like I'm talking down to you or that kind of way. I just want to help you. I want to make you look good. I want the 8th grade team to be, when they get to you, I want them to be solid. They want to know foundational things. And then you take it from there and add on to it. Yeah.
And I think as assistant coaches, that needs to be. I was an assistant for Wes Watson. My job was to make his life easy. My job was to make him but be there for good input and not just be a yes man. And I appreciate that about you and all the coaches really that we've had at Faith. I mean, I think that's why me and you are on this call, and why coaches listen to things and go to clinics is we've got to be lifelong learners and have a growth mindset, because the moment we start to think I've got it all figured out, my stuff doesn't stink, man, you're setting yourself up for a fall right there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree.
Coaches, the Jamodi podcast is powered by Ballology. What's your BSA score? The Ballology Skill Assessment is the only verified skills metric endorsed by the NIA and NJCAA to discover and develop the best talent for your team. This 10-minute, 100-shot test can be taken for free today on the Ballology mobile app. Elevate your game. What's one quality you see in leaders that coaches need to have themselves?
One quality in leaders. You mean
In
like
leaders.
on your team?
It could be leaders in the coaching world, leaders in general. That what do great leaders, a quality that great leaders have that, I mean, all of us as coaches, we need to have in our bag.
Yeah, I think vulnerability, honesty, relatability. Man, relatability is so important. You got to be able to relate to your kids, and your kids have to be able to relate to you. And so you don't want to be so high-minded that they can't, that you know everything. You got to ask them some things, take some things from them, be vulnerable, be honest, but most of all, be relatable. I think that's really important. So that's why. So you see me walking around kidding with guys, talking back, laughing, joking. But now there's a time when that line gets straighter. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so they got to see both of those sides. They got to see where you can just let your guard down and just chill and relax and make jokes and fun. But at the same time, they got to respect the authority that you have, and then and follow your leadership.
I think it's good for them to learn that line too in athletics, because someday they're going to have a job with a boss, and they want to have a good relationship with that boss and get to know him or her, but they can't ever blur that line. I can remember in college a time where with a coach, I blurred the line and I talked to him as if he was a peer in front of other players. And even it still kind of gives me like, I feel a little bit flush. And it was just one of those moments where I just went too far with forgetting the level that he's at compared to what I'm at. I do think you use humor really well with guys. It's not as natural for me as it is for you to do that. And then that vulnerability piece that you talked about, of the ability to admit when you've made a mistake in front of players. And I think that goes a long way with them too. Instead of the guy that will just be so stubborn and not want to admit that he's done something wrong to a point where it really fractures the relationship between you and your team.
Absolutely. This happened to me last night. I've told you this morning. We normally at a junior high level, most teams play zone. They play a 1-2-2 or 2-1-2 or 2-3, whatever you want to call it, a zone. And I know you have this the new monster zone.
The monster zone, I'm sold out. Yeah.
Play zones. Very few teams, unless you've got a real solid team that's dominant, do you play man to man. And so this team last night that we played man to man. So we've only had 2 or 3 days of practice. 3 of those in a row were disrupted, but hey, what do we say? We just overcome. And so we didn't have time to put in our flow offense. And so basically I just said, well, if this happens, we'll be 4 out, 1 in, and just, dribble drive and work it out. Well, they did the very best they could with it, but we didn't have much success with it. And I totally owned that in the locker room afterwards. I said, listen, guys, we lost this game and it was totally on me. Now, was everything on me? No. Was the turnovers on me? No. But I owned it all. It was totally on me. I did not have you prepared, and I will take the ownership of that, and we will get our man-to-man offense together, and we will be ready to flow the next time we need a man-to-man offense. Okay, and I believe they appreciate that because it takes them off the hook for everything, because they didn't know what to do
Hmm.
against man, other than they didn't know whether to drive, whether to stop, whether to pass, whether to take one,
Yeah.
And so I felt like I handicapped them, but we will be better for it going forward.
I think that it comes down to accountability as well. Like you need to, as a coach, you need to be able to hold them accountable for the things that you've taught them. Like if you talked a lot about rebounding this week. So when they don't block out, you have the right. I'm just wondering how many times I've done it or coaches have done it where we're yelling at players and trying to hold them accountable for things that we really haven't either emphasized or we haven't taught. And so anytime rarely, I don't know about you. I mean, you've done this way longer than me, but rarely do I see players just not doing the right things out of spite, or they just don't care. If they don't care, what are they doing out there anyway? But
Absolutely.
most of the time they're making mistakes and they're giving their very, very best. And if the mistakes they're making, we have to make sure we're turning it around and looking, okay, have I taught them well enough?
Absolutely. There's a lot of things that we think they already know. Do we teach jump ball? Well, we get out there and do the jump ball. How many times do you go over that? How many times do you go over blocking out from the free throw line?
Yeah.
This year I haven't taught jump ball, haven't taught, but those are all the little details you want them to do right. But if you haven't taught them and emphasized it, it's kind of hard to hold them to that. You can. Right. A tough coach, mean coach, but if you really think about it, if you haven't taught them, you haven't trained them, you can't hold them accountable for it.
How do you build confidence in players?
Build confidence in them by, number one, instructing them, giving them the tools that they need to be successful, and then holding them accountable. And when they do it, heap praise. Heap praise. Just as loud as you talk to them about what they made, the mistake they made, heap praise in that same tone. Excited. Stop. That was great. That was a great shot. That was a great block out. It was a great pass. Whatever it is, just continue to and the best time to do it is not in the moment always. Sometimes even off the court. Hey, man, that was great. You're walking down the hall. We were walking over to Dallas Road to take pictures or whatever. That's a great time to talk about some of the great things that they do. I saw it. Let them know you notice it. And when you do that, man, they'll run through a wall for you. They'll do it for you. And so and the excitement and energy on the bench, you let them know you saw that. I heard that. That was great encouragement. Great reminders are needed before you need them. Great job. That's a great call. Great call. Great job. People on the bench hollering block out, hollering side out. What I try to get my guys to echo what I say.
Yeah.
So it makes sure it's heard out there. I'll call a number for an inbound play. I want them to echo it.
I think you have a great nugget right there of not just praising them in that moment, but in those times, because with education, what's so cool is we get to see students randomly throughout the day, and it's not just always at practice. And so, but I think we do this with ourselves and we do this with players. We tend to think about the negative things, the things that either ourselves, we didn't do well, or our players didn't do well. And so instead of when you see Johnny, instead of going to Johnny and saying, hey, here are a couple things I can see that you got to do better. You got to be better at this. Like you have to, even though it might be true and there might be an opportunity for you to teach that, but look for opportunities to praise more. Because you don't know, especially in the middle of the day, like they're walking from one gym to the other, man, you don't know what's going on with them. They might have been they might have just stunk it up in a test or had the girl of their dreams break their heart. They're already feeling low. And now, coach, you're going to come tell me I can't, I'm horrible at it. So I think you're right on the money with that there.
Yeah, I try to do that. I'm not perfect at it, but I try to find those moments to build them up when I can, because I'm pretty tough on the court. I'm pretty strict on the court. I have a whole lot of passion. So when I find those areas where I can be passionately encouraging, passionately building up, I try to do that as well.
And you said at the beginning, I asked you, hey, where does confidence come from? You said from you preparing them. And so that you're right on the money. Confidence comes from preparation, whether it's with their shot, them knowing that they've put in the time. If you want confidence teams, they have to know that they are prepared for what's in store, what's ahead. So you can't skip those steps. So you can't just tell a team to be confident. You can't tell a player, be a confident shooter, if they know deep down inside they have not put in the time.
Absolutely. I agree. Totally agree.
The Jamodi Podcast is powered by Sideline Interactive. Sideline Interactive is the leading manufacturer for high-quality, innovative scoring tables and LED video display boards that help coaches and schools bring more excitement to fans, create huge fundraising opportunities, and make their jobs easier. Visit sidelineinteractive.com to check out their amazing products.
You and I have the opportunity to coach at a Christian school. And so because of that, a lot like when I talked with Coach Drew at Baylor, he said it's one of the biggest advantages that they have is the ability to be open with their players in prayer and about Christ. And in your opinion, what do you feel like is just some of the advantages of being able to coach at a Christian school and infuse Christ in everything that we do every day?
It's so important. I can just tell you one huge difference from the advantage that we have at being at a Christian school versus a public and other schools is the language barrier. When I was in public school, not Coach Thompson or any of those, but there were some coaches that used that language that was just hideous, and I didn't think that wasn't helpful. Well, it didn't sound good. I've even gone to city league games and heard city league dads and coaches talk in such a way that was so degrading and so hateful. So we have an opportunity that we don't have to worry about that. That's not even a thought.
Yeah.
Okay. And we're constantly trying to speak life into our kids, even though we have to be sometimes strict on them, hard on them. But we're trying to speak life to them, and we are able to talk to them and pray with them and talk to them about Christ. And there are times when there's some kids going through some things at home with mom and dad. There are some things with siblings. There's some kids with girlfriend, boyfriends. I just love the fact that we're able to share with them some of the wisdom that we've had through the years, that we can share some wise thoughts, some ways to handle some things that you can do to make some of your situations better, and then we can pray with them.
Yeah,
Love that.
I think you're right on the money, and we get to, it's the real why.
Yes.
Like when I was at McKinney, especially the last couple of years when my life drastically changed outside of school, outside of basketball, I started to coach differently and speak differently, teach differently to my students. But it was always a little bit of friction. I wanted to tell them the true why behind, you don't have to say that. You don't have to speak that way. Why we should act this way towards others. I wanted to tell them, but you got to be a little bit more. The public school coaches know that you just never know how that can come back and get you in some kind of trouble or, but the ability to, the biggest why is because what Christ did for us on the cross. Why are we talking about all this? Why are the way we show up, the way we practice, the way we train, the way we celebrate, the way we are around each other when someone struggles? It's all because of what Christ did for us on the cross, and that to me gives us the greatest why when we get to coach.
Amen. I totally agree. And I've had that opportunity, a great opportunity now for 24 years, 11 at my last 13 here, 24 years. And it's been the greatest 24 years. I had opportunity to come out of out of the mortgage business, which I was in for a long time, come out of that where the only joy you get is paperwork and things and making the corrections and insuring government insured loans. And I mean, that was one lot, good money when it lasted, and then bad, no money when it turned and they laid everybody off, and then good money, that kind of thing. But when I got a chance to come and affect lives, young lives, I have young men and young women that I've coached or been a part of at school that to this day, one of them asked me, I officiated my first wedding for one of my former students, and so it's just been a great time in the Christian school atmosphere.
24 years of coaching, a lot of wisdom. What's one thing you would do differently if you could start over in coaching?
Oh, I would be a much better coach / father. That is one of the, and I've talked to you about this.
Yeah.
And I want to continue to help you as you go along with coaching your son on your basketball team, because I coached all three of my sons at AHA, all great athletes, all state athletes, basketball and football. But I felt, is it entitled? I felt entitled that I could coach my kid any kind of way I want.
Yeah, who's he going to complain to? Who's he going to complain to? Yeah.
What are you talking about? And if I could rewrite that, and then I always wanted to be above board. Never wanted someone to think I was giving them preferential treatment. I was treating them different. I didn't correct them like I corrected you. And so I believe my sons would say, maybe sometimes I overcorrected, meaning I done more than I should have. And so that father coach thing, I would redo that. And I think I'd be a better coach and a better father, that combination.
Yeah, that's huge. And you're right. Landon is up as a freshman now, and I'm trying to figure out that balance with him. And what I've tried to do is figure out, okay, which one do you want to hear from right now? You want to hear from your dad, right, and which is a lot more, I think, understanding and a lot more wanting to help him mentally through it and what he's feeling? Or do you want me to be coach and tell you exactly what I see and what, and I giving him kind of the freedom to choose which one he wants to listen to. And I'm not, luckily, him, he's pretty fun, easy to coach, easy to work with. And,
absolutely.
Doesn't do anything wrong or intentionally wrong. But no, I appreciate you saying that. I think there are a lot of coaches that have, part of the fun of this is getting to be, if you have sons and daughters, getting to coach them. But that balance is tough.
It is now, and the one thing, so on the Zoom calls that I had with our parents this year, the one thing I left with each family is I talked about, and I can't take credit for this, but I got it from John Brooks. He shared this with me. He said, the ride home can be the most torturous ride home, because we as dads want to tell them everything they done wrong, go down the checklist on that. Let's review why you didn't get on the ball, why you turned that ball over, why you didn't do this, you didn't do that, you didn't do that. The ride home is a torturous ride, and some kids dread it. So I tried to share with the parents, please, if you do anything, encourage your kid on the ride home. Make it as pleasant as possible. Ask them, did they have fun? Did they enjoy it? What did you learn? And let them know how proud you are to be their parent on the ride home. If you can do that, there'll be plenty of time to review all that other stuff I know you think you got to say it right now because it's heavy on my heart and I got to say it.
Same with
But
coaches.
the
Yeah.
line home
Yeah.
can be the one that most kids dread the most.
Yeah. And that same advice though can go that the 3 to sometimes 20 minutes that we take after games talking to players as coaches. I think the same advice really comes as every coach that I've talked to on here after games has said to speak less. And some say don't even have a post game because one, as coaches, what we think we saw might not be actually what happened. So give ourselves time to decompress, like the 24-hour rule that we ask parents to have. Give ourselves 24 hours with the players. But the 5 word, I think everything you said was great. The 5 words that I think players really want to hear from coaches and from parents is, I loved watching you play. Like, I loved watching you play. Think about the joy that even after a loss, when they or even a win, when they know they didn't play well in it, what they're really searching for is validation from those people that love them and are around them the most. I loved watching you play.
Hey man, I love that. I love that statement. You've used that statement a lot, even in your emails and stuff. And that is so important for parents to know and for the kids to know. It's very important. Very important.
Coaches, the one thing that every team needs is confident shooters. The last 8 years at Grapevine Faith, our teams have averaged 354 made threes each season. I love getting to share with coaches how our shooters train and, more importantly, how they think. If you would like to enhance your shooting culture at your school, contact me directly at jamodipodcast@gmail.com. Well, Coach, I know you, and a lot of people at Faith know you, but the speed round is going to allow us to know you even better.
Okay.
You ready for the speed round?
I am ready.
Okay. I'm going to know you better right after this. That's how cool this is. All right, here we go. Favorite ice cream flavor?
Strawberry.
For high school, shot clock or no shot clock?
No shot clock.
All right. I'm going to lean in a little bit. Why?
I know.
There's been some great reasons why. So I'm curious what yours are.
Hey, okay. So the reason for that is I remember back when Grace Prep played Houston Westbury in the final, I was there. They had 0 chance of winning that game. That Westbury had the talent. Grace Prep had some good players, but they were nowhere near as talented as that team. They slowed that game down, frustrated them, and took 2 minutes every possession, it felt like. But at the end, they would get a nice score and came back, and Houston Westbury thought they could just turn it on whenever, and they couldn't. And Grace Prep won that state championship. I remember it. So because styles makes games.
Yeah.
Styles are different styles, especially for a team like you that want to be up tempo. Let's shoot. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. If you get a team that slows that thing down and works you, it frustrates.
Yep.
And it causes you to do more things that overdo what you're trying to do, shoot quicker, and then you don't get the ball back. Now you're frustrated again. If you make it, it's good, but if you miss it, then it slows you down. So I think no.
I think I think that's the best reason for no shot clock out there is it will allow inferior teams with maybe inferior talent to have a chance because the more possessions in a game favors the more talented team. So that's good. I get that. Texting or talking?
Talking.
Favorite holiday?
Thanksgiving.
Invisibility or super strength?
Super strength.
Okay. If you could travel back in time, what period would you go to?
70s. I enjoyed my high school. I did 74 through 78 were some of the greatest, funnest years of my life.
Nice.
Loved it.
Place you this is tough because you've traveled about everywhere. So not just place you most want to travel, even like if you've been there already, where your favorite place to go?
Well, to me, we've got a group that goes to Cabo all the time. So Cabo, Mexico is a absolute favorite. But I've been to Hawaii at least 10 times. So as a family taking it. So Hawaii. So I love tropical places
Yeah.
or places where you can get on the beach or places it's warm weather and that kind of thing.
Love it. How many cups of coffee do you drink per day?
I used to not drink coffee, then I started drinking, and now I could probably drink coffee any time of the day, any time of the night. So I'm saying if I walk by and smell coffee, I'll get a cup. So 4 or 5 cups. I start the morning with a cup, and yeah.
When did you start drinking coffee?
At AHA, when I was at
AHA.
American Heritage Academy, I started drinking a little bit coffee, little here, cup here, and then it just became
The drink of
anytime.
champions. The
Yeah,
drink of champions.
drinking.
Last one. Godfather or Star Wars?
I'm going to say Godfather, but it's really neither because I'm
Neither.
not it's really neither. I am a
All right.
Lifetime movie guy.
Favorite movie.
Oh, Coming to America.
Nice. That's a good
Coming to
one.
America. Yes, it's one that I know most of the language. Oh yeah, I got it.
Awesome.
And if it comes on, I watch it right now.
Well, Coach, this was awesome, man, because this has been unique for me, getting to talk with somebody that I see almost every day at work, but getting to hear kind of your answers to these questions and learn a little bit more about kind of what made you become the coach and the man that you are today. I'll just let you know this, and I said at the beginning, I'll say it again. You have made such a huge impact on this school and so many people's lives here that faith would not be the same without Herb Evans, man. I hope you always remember that.
I really appreciate you saying that, and I take that to heart. And every morning I get up, I never dread going to faith. I never dread. I love getting there. People give me life. If I'm by myself, but when I get there, kids and coaches and people, they give me life, and I can go. So I appreciate that, and I again, like I said, I'll be there until they send me away.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the Jamodi Podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.